Happy October 2025 to my ballistic blood brothers and sisters in arms. Thank you for joining me at the range today. I want to talk about something. I want to have a discussion with you. I want to listen to you and answer some questions and ask you questions about an NFA topic that doesn't get discussed often enough. Where most of us are familiar with machine guns, destructive devices, lately sound suppressors, short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, as far as understanding the process, the time that's involved in them, the taxes and the fees. But there's one category that doesn't often come up, and that is the category called AOWs, any other weapons. And today, that's what we're going to look at. Stick around. I hope you enjoy this. So the weapons category, any other weapon, AOW, was, in my opinion, BATF's way of saying we would like to control these items, but there's no category that they fit in. So let's create an everything else category, and they simply enough called it AOW, any other weapon. What it typically is focused on are firearms that are highly concealable and functional in the form that they're concealable. For instance, a wallet gun. Some of these holsters, and this is going to be a surprise to some of you, but some of the leather holsters that hold the pistol are actually considered NFA AOWs if they're functional or fireable in the wallet. If you have to remove the gun from the wallet to shoot it, then it's typically okay. But if it functions in the wallet, then it would fall into that category. Pager guns. I don't know if they're even common anymore, but in the 1980s, when there were actually pagers being used, they used to have a holster that fit on your hip that concealed a firearm. And the ones that were functional in the pager enclosure were as well considered AOWs. So if you keep that in the back of your mind, when you're trying to decide if something isn't any other weapon or not, ask yourself if it's highly concealable and if it's functional in that form. A couple examples of more common AOWs might be a cane gun, a firearm that's concealed in a cane that you can fire without having to take anything apart. You just lift the cane and then there's usually a concealed trigger and the cane fires. That would be an AOW. An umbrella gun, and these are a little bit older variants, 1920s, 1930s, umbrella guns, cane guns. They made umbrellas that actually held a barrel inside of the barrel of the umbrella, and you could fire it once there as well. More common ones today, or a little earlier, would be the Stinger pen gun or the Stinger AOW that the OSS had as a last-ditch effort, an LDE firearm. Doesn't look anything like a firearm. There's no visible barrel or trigger or anything. That would be an AOW. Today, some of the more common ones that people run into are, and these are later classifications, a pistol. And when I say pistol, think of something like a Tech 9 or an MP5K that has a vertical foregrip on it. That would be considered an AOW. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If anything, it is less concealable than without it. But since when, when have we decided things the government does have to make sense? Not very often. A smoothbore pistol would be an AOW. And a lot of you right away are going to think, well, what about the tourist, the judge, or the district attorney, or the Raging Bull, or all of these guns that fire shot shells? If you look at them, you'll notice they all have rifled barrels. If it's a smoothbore, it would be in that AOW category. If it has a rifled barrel, then it can just be treated like a pistol. And one interesting version of that, this is an H&R Topper. It is a smoothbore 410. These left H&R as shotguns, all but this one. This is the only one that's in the registry that we're aware of that left as an action. Because it was never a shotgun, when it was assembled in this configuration, it wouldn't be a short-barreled shotgun. It was never a shotgun to begin with. So Mark Serbu registered this as an AOW. And again, as far as we understand today, it's the only AOW variant that's in the U.S. registry right now. I want to move the camera angle just a little bit so you can appreciate the amount of fire that comes out of this muzzle with me. What a fun piece to shoot. This would be a little bit more modern example, just a pistol, a polymer frame pistol. A company called Caracal out of the United Arab Emirates made this gun. It is just a 9mm polymer frame pistol until you put this on. If it has a vertical foregrip, that automatically makes it an AOW. And this is more what you'd be apt to see in the open market today, something along these lines, maybe a Glock or something a little more common than a Caracal Model F. But this would also be considered an AOW because of the vertical foregrip. Doing research for this video this morning, I punched in a search on Google just to get some general terms on AOW, and one of the actual bullet points, the examples it brought up was the Serbu Super Shorty shotgun is a common AOW today. Now, this particular one is not an AOW because it has a shoulder stock. So this particular gun is considered a short-barreled shotgun, but without the stock, it would fit the AOW criteria. So if you encountered a Serbu Super Shorty shotgun in the wild, it would not typically have the shoulder stock that's out of play for the purposes of this point of the video. It can only be an AOW if it's not being capable of being fired from the shoulder. So let's overlook there's a stock on here and see how you would fire it as it was typically manufactured and shipped with that AOW status. Now, that same gun, once again, has transformed to a short-barreled shotgun. Let's put a few rounds downrange in this configuration. Now the Super Shorty, as I ordered this particular one, as a short-barreled shotgun. I like that. as we discussed earlier, something that you'll find in the collector end of the market is going to be the classification of AOW as a pen gun. This would be one example, a pen gun. And this particular one is just 25 ACP, just a little centerfire round. It holds a single round, and it is fired by dropping this striker. Very simple, basic mechanism. It more today looks like a mini-mag flashlight than a pen, but some folks that have artistic capability and understand machining can make something that is a little bit more believable as a pen. I mean, this thing is absolutely beautiful. Now, this isn't something that's currently being mass-produced, but it's in the pipeline somewhere by a company called Meligun. And that name may sound familiar to you or may not, because we've been pretty excited about a new item that they're launching, and it is a knife revolver combination that looks something like this. An absolutely beautiful piece. And where most of these AOWs, one thing that many of them have in common is they're a single shot affair. It's just, it functions once and done. This is actually a 6-shot revolver. This particular one chambered in .22 long rifle. And if you can be patient with me, you'll see a video very soon actually looking at this in a little bit more depth, introducing it and then looking at it in detail. If we're fortunate enough, the folks from Meligun will be able to join us at the range, and they can explain to you how it works, and you don't have to listen to me and need a translator. You can get it directly from them.
All of them.
20-inch barrel. This stuff is usually coming out like in the neighborhood. 1300.
Nice.
And since we're discussing knife firearms, it'd be remiss if we didn't include this one. This is the PKP, the Powell knife pistol, chambered in .38 special. Now, just when you thought you had your head wrapped around how ATF works and how this AOW classification functions, this one's not an AOW. This particular one is just a pistol. And the reason being, if you think back to concealable, not firearm-like, and functional in that configuration, this one has been determined not to be an AOW because the barrel is visible, the hammer is visible, the trigger is visible. Think of it more as a large, awkward derringer with a bayonet, and then you kind of get the idea. So it is possible that you might find one that is not an AOW, but in most cases it will be. So here is some exciting news about AOWs. In the passage of the big beautiful bill, there were a couple paragraphs way down at the bottom in the back somewhere that stated that there would no longer be a transfer tax on NFA AOWs, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, or sound suppressors. That all goes into effect in January of 2026. So one of the things that people found unattractive or less attractive about these years past, it was twofold. One is the amount of time it took to get the transfer approved. It's the same paperwork that you do when you buy a machine gun or a destructive device. It might take a year, might take over a year, might take 9 months. So it was a significant amount of time. Now with the new e-filing system, that's been reduced to sometime within the same day. Might be 2 days, might be 3 days, but it's quite often to have them approved and done within a week. And that doesn't matter if you're doing a Form 1, which allows you to manufacture an NFA item, or a Form 4, which is the form you're going to do when you take possession of it. That's the new title with your name on it. So the time problem is gone. However, the financial aspect was still lingering. The transfer fee is $200 on all of those items, the short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun, and the sound suppressor. But the AOW category, it was only $5. So they were a lot more affordable than any of the others. But as of January of 2026, there's not going to be any transfer fee at all. So now you don't have to wait that extended amount of time. You don't have to submit a tax to pay to exercise your right. All you do is submit the transfer and it gets transferred to you and there's no more tax. How cool is that? So how cool is that? These things are fun to shoot. They're fun to collect. If you like history, and most of us do, even if we don't start out that way at the beginning, some of them can be fascinating when you look into the history of these things. Now we don't have to have the manufacturer's fee or the transfer fee to be irritated about anymore. You don't have to pay to exercise that right. We don't have the 1 year wait to be irritated about anymore, because they're usually done inside of a week. So we actually have some things that are going in our direction. How cool is that, huh? So I hope that you enjoyed this short, quick trip to the range and a short discussion on AOWs or any other weapons. I think it gets overlooked quite regularly, and it's something that we need to discuss because it would be easy to get in trouble without realizing it. So if you did, please click like, share us with your friends in your vast social media universe. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. And if you think you did, check, because sometimes that button's not clicked anymore. If you like some of our merch, they're cool t-shirts. They're available from Bunker Branding. The information is in the description below the video. And keep your eyes on the channel, because we're going to be getting some quality range time with the big dogs at Meligun. So we're going to look at those knife revolvers in depth here very soon. Till next time, have fun and be safe.